Welcome to the Supercar Connection podcast. Find us on social at Supercar Connection, and full episodes drop Mondays on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe, send us to a fellow car lover. We appreciate all of your support. I'm Gavin, this is my boy Joe, and we're here to talk about cars.
Watch the PD's gonna take my statement to the bank, bro. I'm gonna be like, it's gonna just say headline: Cops need to chill out. Will Collette. God, dude, I got
at Billco at Supercar
right,
Connection.
Yeah. Dude, I got fucked over on a headline with the Air Force one time when it was we had a rocket launch scheduled, and it was a very, very expensive multi-billion-dollar satellite for Google that they were putting in orbit. And like the day of the launch, it got like pushed back because there was like a fire that started on the base, and it spread and it got really bad really fast. And I was head of PR and media relations on the base, so I was like the only person that could funnel out emergency messaging to the mass media, let people know what's going on, whatever. And I remember like we had just had a meeting with like the fire units and all these people to like figure out how to contain this thing. And I remember walking outside and like the sky was black. There were helicopters everywhere dumping water.
Like
there
a movie
the,
scene
the
almost,
big,
probably.
the big red planes.
Yeah.
They were doing their thing. It looked like a war zone. Like I've never seen so much aircraft in the sky at once and so much smoke. And I got a call from this guy. I was like, so my name is blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, sorry, who, what? And he said it so fast. He's like, a quick question. Is the launch still happening today? I said, the base is on fire. Of course there's no launch today. Click. What I didn't know is that was like some high rep in Associated Press. Oh. And he fed that headline. Of course the launch isn't happening today. The base is on fire. To New York Times, to LA Times, to like, dude, it was like on the ticker at the bottom of like national news. And I was like, oh no, because I got a call from my commander like 20 minutes later. He was like, did you speak to somebody high up in media? I was like, no, I took like one phone call. He's like, well, that guy was high up, and I think he's with Associated Press because your quote is everywhere now. So now you might even be able to still find it. Like type in Google like Lieutenant Collette. Of course they're not. I was like, oh god. So you got to be careful, man, because people can grab.
Trust me. One thing I have definitely learned now. Granted, Gavin and I have been at this for a solid 4 months. Okay. Yeah. One thing I am damn certain of is the internet will 100% take every single word that you say literally with no figurative interpretation or creative interpretation whatsoever. Yeah. So one of the things that I feel like we're both looking at, mainly me because I'm the one that says more off-wall type of shit, to be honest with you, is every single word I have to precisely pick and choose because if I give the internet any leeway, they will absolutely take it, run different directions, bro. Like even referencing what we're talking about. Like one of our more popular videos is us talking about people splitting payments on Lamborghini Urus's popular cars. I made the very rookie mistake by stating that it was a common concept. Common concept.
It is a common concept.
It is a common concept.
It's more common than you think it is.
Yes, that's what I intended it to be. It was more common than the everyday person thought. Not that every time you see a supercar, 7 people own the damn thing. That is not what I intended.
Not that it's the majority of owners. That it's like you've probably never heard of it. I had never heard of it. Yeah. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
Have you ever heard of something like that? Be honest.
Your video taught me.
That's what people. Now here's the thing.
It makes sense though, because you know what's funny? Before I saw that video, I'm not even joking. One of the cars we had on loan was a Urus, and me and my boys were all like, yo, this was fun to take to the gym together. Should we all split payments on a Urus together? Like we literally, like that wasn't a crazy idea.
People don't understand. Like this is the concept you don't understand. Okay. Number one, there's a lot more money out in the world than people even understand. Okay. Secondly, people with money have a lot more money than you think that they do. Okay. So in your world, in a lot of people's world, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, obviously is very expensive. But you have people with a lot of money or not even a lot of money. They're trying to make things happen. Going back to, if you guys are tuning in now, part 1, we talk about LA versus OC dynamic. Okay. Yeah. This happens in LA, I think 10 times more in Orange County. But you have 4 guys, okay? You might have a realtor or 2 realtors, a doctor, and like a fitness bro, okay? Those 4 buddies pull together and they split this Urus. Because of that, each week that they take turns with the car, they use it to market themselves. I'm going to go take all my business meetings this time. I'm going to go meet with clients. I'm going to go to the gym. That week, they gain so much value out of that $1,000 that they might get 10 or 12 clients or all new lines of business that generates 6 figures for that year. And that 12,000 or whatever, 13,000 over the year that they spent monthly in return for 6 figures, and people out here calling me crazy for even thinking that that's a concept.
Yeah.
People don't understand how money works and how it flows.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that we had to really structurally learn. So like I can tell even by the way you speak, you are very well garnered in that. Let me pick exactly how I also myself.
Sorry to cut you off. The Air Force. Thanks. Shout out to the Air Force. Like sometimes I'm like, oh man. Sometimes they were the big man, you know.
Right.
But like the Air Force is very much the reason why I am the way I am today. And they were the ones that taught me how to talk on camera. They were the ones that gave me PR training and like months
on
and
camera
months.
specifically, huh?
Specifically on camera.
Wow.
Yeah, they taught me how to do press conferences. They're like, this is how the media will box you in a corner. They'll give you loaded questions. Here's how you get out of a loaded question. It helps a lot with sales. It helps a lot with interpersonal communication, and it helps a lot with hopefully not getting canceled on the internet.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable.
Tickets, right?
Yeah, dude, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Get
Like,
your $11.99 foundation.
dude, the
plate
other
cover.
what is it? The other guy that I listen to a lot is what's his name? Never Split the Difference. He wrote that book, The Hostage Negotiator. You heard of this guy?
I've
heard of him.
God,
I
what's
have
his
not.
name? I'm blanking on. He's fantastic. If you want to really
I'm
know,
terrible
if you're
at
a
this.
car guy, and you want to learn how to like at the low end, if you want to learn how to get a free upgrade rental when you go somewhere, like get like a Mustang GT instead of like a Toyota Yaris, or if you get pulled over and you want to know how to not get the book thrown at you by the cop, read Never Split the Difference and listen to the guy that wrote it, whose name I'm blanking on, because he teaches you how to do things like mirroring, or how to find a black swan, or how to like figure out like how someone's like psyche is going in a very short period of time.
Almost like a Machiavellian principle, like thinking and stuff like that. Like understanding that the other person in the conversation, there's multiple angles. What is their motivation? How they're coming at you, so you can match their same thing.
Yes.
So you get the outcome that you want.
Exactly.
Without even letting them know that you're guiding them on this conversation.
That's so much
You're
of
just
sales.
taking them where you want to go.
Or have you
have
ever read like how to make friends and influence people?
I love that book. Yeah, totally.
Like that's
their
so
name.
much down that same kind of like alleyway of just like kind of mirroring what people wanted. Like give them what they wanted. They want to talk about themselves. So find a way to get them talking about themselves.
Yeah.
Can I be honest with you guys? I don't even know what book that is.
How to win friends and influence people?
I suck. One thing about me, guys, I might talk a lot of crap, but like I educate myself to a certain degree. But when it comes to books, I just can't do books, bro.
I used to do that way.
I can't do books.
You have to
bro.
find the books you love.
I don't even
There is
know.
a book.
I can't,
There
bro.
is a book.
I
you
listened
love.
to this. I audiobook this.
I need to hop on the audiobook. I don't even know. Maybe I'm dyslexic. Maybe whatever. When I start reading, I'm just like, why am I doing this right now?
Dude, you need to find the right book. Because
what it is?
Dude, I went through college and I think I read one book in college and I hated every page.
I don't think I read one.
I like literally, I hated reading in school.
out.
And then
Spark Notes,
I
baby.
started to read when I was in the Air Force because I was trapped in a room with no windows and no Wi-Fi and no cell service. And I had a job to do. And sometimes I would finish my job early. So my only option was to read. And I started to pick up books and I'm like, whoa, this is like groundbreaking. There's information that I can digest like way faster than experience in life. And like, then it was like one book hit it for me. It was Drive. It was like how intrinsic motivation works. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I read this book called Blink by I think it was Malcolm Gladwell wrote Blink about like snap judgments and how your brain like makes decisions quickly.
Right.
And I was like, oh, now I know how my brain works a little bit. And then I like read Grit, and then I read how to win friends and influence people. And then it was like cheat codes for life, literally.
It is. It's
And
all
the
up
best
here.
part is that like people that are going through life, the average person doesn't read anything, so they're missing out on like all of this no shots to you, but like they're missing out on like, all this information where it's like, dude, like I can read a book and get like a lifetime of information in like less than a month. This is awesome. And like you just have to find the book that hooks you in.
I need to.
Feels
I need
like
to.
TikTok.
How to win friends and influence people will change you.
I hope it will, because I'm
100%.
Dude, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm just talking crap.
Just
out of my
listen
butt.
to it.
That's
Just
all.
get the audio.
What I will do, because like even going back to what you're saying, like most people live their lives purposeless. They or at least without intention. If you at least do things with an intentional mindset, you will get to where you're going.
Yeah.
And like, I think if I can actually develop learning how to read books, I might become more of a monster than I already consider myself.
Well,
to
this
be.
book is like
100%.
80 years old too.
Oh, really?
Like this
So it's
book
got
has been
principles that
popular
are
around for a while,
for
yeah.
decades.
Okay, then I'll do it. Then I will make it a point.
The cool thing is the books will give you little nuggets where like one of the points in that book was in a conversation, try to say someone's name as often as possible, because I think the quote is like, no honey is as sweet as someone's name to their own
Everyone's
ears.
favorite word is their own name.
Yeah. So like, dude, like once you beta test like these things you learn in books in real life, and you're like when I did mirroring and it totally worked and I got a rental car upgrade, I was like, oh my God, like this is dangerous in the best way.
Bro,
you know?
I'm telling you.
Or like when I have someone come in and they want to get a supercar part, right? Yeah. And I know they want it, but they've got some reasons in their head why they don't want an exhaust. Like I know the secrets to get them like, I need this. I need my car to be loud, you know? And you just use some tricks that you've learned in these books, and it's just like, you know, it's crazy how effective it is.
How you can rework somebody's own mind and not even know that they're subconscious and bring out their subconscious.
Yeah,
in this whole
exactly.
Thing.
Yeah.
Tell me, well, I don't know if you can read any more books, man. You might become too much of a weapon. You might have to like register with the state.
Well, you got a crazy story about the Pentagon, right?
Yeah.
Should we get into that?
Yeah, I love storytelling. Storytelling is the easiest way to learn.
Story time with Will.
Yeah,
I love it.
So, when I was in the Air Force, I was a reservist. I'd already completed my active duty time, and I was doing a tour around COVID at this Air Force base on the Central Coast. And I was only going to be there for like, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, because COVID, they like took my like full tour and they boiled it down. They were like, the rest of it's going to be remote and you're only going to be here for like 21 days. And a friend of mine who owned a VF supercharged Huracan Performante.
I know that car very well.
Yeah, we drove one of those a few weeks back.
Amazing. He was like, what if you borrowed the car for like a week and just like drove it around? Because I get to come home on the weekends. Because I most people don't, but I live close enough. So I was like, I can come home on the weekends. He's like, just like drive it around for like a week just because I just want you to experience it. And how cool would it be to just roll around on the base, you know? And this car had no branding on it whatsoever. So it wasn't like a sponsored car. It didn't have like banners or anything. It was just all black. And I was like, that sounds awesome, but something tells me someone's going to get pissed off about this and I'm getting in trouble. I don't know why. It's all legal, but I just have this gut feeling it's going to go wrong for me.
You just know. You know things.
So I was like, I messaged my commander and I said, before I start my upcoming tour, I just wanted to make sure, is it okay if I bring a Lamborghini? And she was like, let me check. So she forwarded it up the chain, and then it kept going up the chain and up the chain until it reached the Pentagon. I'm not even joking. It reached Secretary of Air Force PA in the Pentagon. And they saw my request and they kicked it all the way back down the chain. And then it got to me, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact words they gave me, but it's something along the lines of, we do not want you driving around on this base. And because I was also there to make content because I was in PR for the Air Force. Mm-hmm. We don't want you driving around this base / making content with this vehicle because we don't want to give the false impression that a uniformed officer has the ability to afford a car like this because it's not realistic. And I was like, game on. Because this is my dream and I'm going to buy a car like this.
And I'm going to make this happen.
Absolutely. And I was like, which is crazy to me because like to me, I was like, this is a win for the military because instead of me just talking about the military mission, I'm now in a very attention grabbing asset that I'm going to be clear that is not mine, but it's still going to make, someone's going to watch a video of me driving around in a Performante before they watch a video of me standing in front of a building.
Absolutely.
Delivering the same information.
They'll be more inclined to join.
Yeah.
Even if they know it's not yours. They're just, if that's the
they're just going to watch a video anyway.
That's it.
And I was like, guys, this is like, it costs you nothing. I'm the one assuming the liability driving the Lamborghini around. And they said no. So I was like, well, I can't argue with the Pentagon, so I can't bring the car. So I told my friend, I was like, I can't do it. They said no. And he's like, what? I was like, I know. So fast forward a couple years, I bought this. And I had a friend at the time who had his name's Patrick, who was out in Utah. He has a NASA themed Ford GT. And I was like, dude, how sick would it be if we like shot pictures of this car next to a NASA rocket pad? I can still get on the base. And he was like, dude, that would be so sick. Let's do it. So he's in town with this Ford GT. I had my R8, which was fairly new at the time. Ironically, we were on the Longtail Rally and it was coming through the Central Coast of California. Mm-hmm. And we split off from the Longtail Rally. And I remember driving onto the base through the front gate because they still to this day have to salute me because I still hold the captain's rank.
Right.
Good afternoon, sir. Like, what is this? You know, because like when you're on a base in the middle of nowhere, nothing cool happens. You know, I mean, you get your rocket launches, but like most of the days are carbon copies of each other. So when you got a Ford GT and an R8 rolling at, it's like, what? And I just remember that feeling of the Pentagon can't stop me now. Like, this is my car. This is totally legal, and I'm affording it. You know, given I was a reservist at the time, and you know, I have the ability to have my own career outside of the military because the reservist only has me on the hook for like 45 days a year. But I still put on the uniform once a year. I was still a captain. I still had a military ID, and I drove my R8 on base, my V10 that they said was not possible. Now, this is a very different car from a supercharged Performante, but it's a supercar nonetheless. And I have a Ford GT with me too. Absolutely. So it was so funny because I remember driving down the road that they bring the space shuttle. They used to bring the space shuttle down this road to bring it to the pad. And me and this Ford GT are just ripping. And it says NASA on the side. And I had one of my Air Force friends in the passenger seat. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, we did it. We did it, you know? Like, it didn't take that long. It took a couple years from them being like, you can't do this, you know?
Years are nothing.
And it wasn't
Nothing.
like, let me also clarify, like, that wasn't the whole Air Force telling me. It was one person, you know? It was one person making their best judgment call with the information they had. You know, I don't want to like fault them for that.
It's easier for them to say no than for them to say yes and have
100%.
X, Y, Z go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Because guess what? If something did happen with me in that Lamborghini, whatever it could have been, the Air Force could have been liable. You know, it's just
that would have made headlines.
It's easy. It's so much easier for them to be like, hey, look, let's just not. Like risk versus reward, we'd rather take
For sure.
no risk.
Right.
You know, and
they lose nothing in telling you no.
Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah.
They also gain nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows what came out of it?
But dude,
Right.
it did.
So they don't need it. Let's be honest.
This is an
They don't need
interesting thing with the military, because right now, their retention rates aren't stellar. They aren't what they used to be, you know?
Yeah.
Fewer people are joining than they used to, and few people are sticking around. You know?
Why do you think that is?
I think the mindset is different. Dude, like, where is the honor these days?
It doesn't exist.
Because like when I interact with a lot of these supercar owners, not just in the shop, just in general, dude, like some of them aren't even like, the integrity isn't even like one of their top core values, you know? And like, and like I mentioned, like honor, it's like, where did that go? And it's like, and this sense of like wanting to be a part of something and instead of being in the spotlight, like that's also kind of gone. And it's unfortunate because all of those things are instilled in the military. And that's why I also like, I love what the military did for me, is because they made those things core values for me in a way where I'll never let them go. And, because the retention rates aren't what they used to be, I'm like, okay, well, we got to meet this generation where they're at right now, which is where I'm at, which is TikTok, you know?
Right.
Or you know, Reels or YouTube or whatever.
Shorter content.
Sure.
Shorter based content. These dang lights, man. These things, I'm telling you.
Sorry, I didn't even think about that.
No, it's all good. I'm glad with the viewers.
I don't know where the sensor
I think you
is.
got to walk towards right there. Boom. Yep. It's all good.
So, I pitched a collaboration with the Air Force one time that went south for me. I actually got in a lot of trouble for this. So I was stationed out in Utah, and I was attached to the combat camera unit out there. We were essentially the content creation team for the Air Force, which I didn't know was a job that existed. So if you're thinking about being a content creator, you want to be in the military, look up, I think it's still called the 2nd Audiovisual Squadron. That's what it was when I was there. They make content for the Air Force. It's awesome.
2nd Audiovisual Squadron.
Yeah, guys ride back seats in fighter jets. They get to hop on helicopters.
And it's literally
they
content
do
creators.
special forces videos. They do all the coolest stuff, and they just make the Air Force look awesome. They get the biggest, baddest cameras. We have an $8 million budget to just buy equipment.
Wow. Awesome.
It's cool. It's cool.
What a group.
Yeah. So I was attached to them. That's actually why I met Stradman. I was living out in Utah doing that mission. And there was a fighter jet wing on our base. It was an F-35 wing. F-35 was flying around all day long, dude. It was sick. And I had this idea. I was like, oh, one of the jobs in the military that does not have great retention are the maintenance guys for aircraft. I was like, but if we were able to have them kind of show off what they do to, like, let's say a celebrity, maybe they'll, you know, kind of remember why they picked that job and, you know, make them a little more proud of what they do. And it would just be a fun experience for them, you know, and it's a win-win for everybody, right? So this music artist was in town to perform in Park City, and I was a friend of his over the years. Huh? No, this isn't the Chainsmokers. It's a different DJ.
They making a guest appearance
and
again?
I reached out and I pitched it to him first. I was like, are you willing to drive from Park City to like north of Layton, Utah, like an hour plus drive, just to, you know, meet some Air Force guys? And he was like, totally down. Awesome. I was like, okay, let me take a step further. I'm with the content creation team. Could we shoot some video with you, like next to an F-35 or something, you know, to use for like recruiting stuff? And he was like, done. Awesome. Sounds good. And obviously I was talking directly with his manager, but I mean, he was, the artist was obviously on board too. And I was like, okay, this sounds great. So it should be a slam dunk for the Air Force, right? So I go to the Air Force and say, hey, I have this $0 opportunity that's going to cost us nothing. We can do it off hours. We can do it on hours, however you want to do it. I'm going to bring this guy on base. I'll escort him since that's literally my job on this base. And I'll bring him to this hangar. We'll park 2 F-35s in there, have all your ammo guys out, your maintainers, whoever you want to meet him, take photos as long as you want, whatever. And then we'll shoot a little bit of video, maybe make like a little Instagram reel for the Instagram that we run for the Air Force. Like, this would be a win-win-win-win, right? Mm-hmm. And they said, first of all, who is this artist, who is he? I was like, he's Steve Aoki. He's like one of the biggest DJs in the entire world. What do you mean, who is he? And they're like, well, he may not align with what we do in the military. I said, Steve Aoki's actually a really good dude, and from following him for so long, I can give my stamp of approval, take my advice as a public affairs officer for the military. He's good. He's gonna be fine. This is not gonna blow up in our face. Like, well, we didn't really ask for this, so no thanks. And I was like, oh. So again, I'm like paraphrasing, like this isn't big Air Force. This was like one person that like I'm recalling memories from like years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they denied it. So then I was like, all right, well, I need to find a way around this because this is too big of a win for me to just stop with one person. Right. And I ran into some trouble with the military several times because just like in regular life, when I get a no, I just try to find another solution, you know, and try to find another way around it. And sometimes I would jump up the chain of command, which is not really what you're supposed to do in the military. Or I would go laterally and maybe find someone in a different unit of the same rank and try to get them on board and like, you know, do it that way. But that made people mad because it belittled them. Especially if something got approved, then they look bad. So they get really defensive because then their job is like, you know, and like, no, they're not getting like fired, but it like makes them look bad. So they get really upset with you. So I go to this other unit. I go, like, I think it was like straight to the fighter wing. And I asked their public affairs person, like, hey, this is what I want to pitch. And they were like, no, we don't want this. And yada, yada. And then it came back to my commander that I was going to these different people pitching this Steve Aoki guy to come to the base. And they filed paperwork against me. They said, you're going out of line. You're doing something that's above your pay grade. You're doing something no one asked for. And you're now creating a problem for us. So here's some official paperwork to document. I don't know what it was called, like not insubordination, but just like basically being out of line. Right. You know?
You got written up.
Unbelievable. The day that they wrote paperwork for me being out of line for trying to create a no cost, only benefit collaboration between one of the biggest artists in the world and the Air Force was the day I got in my car and drove straight to the recruiting office and said, make me a reservist. I can't do active duty anymore. Like 100%. This is like, you know, like I can't deal with this mindset of I would rather keep my job safe and not take a risk, you know, and potentially deal with any ramifications. You know, this was a low threat opportunity. Yeah, there's like almost nothing that could have gone wrong. We didn't put him in a jet. You know?
What's the worst that's going to happen?
No, he's not doing anything risky. He's just meeting and greeting, you know? And it's like, it's that mindset that
cake
like...
on the flag, all right? That's the biggest risk. We got some cake on an American flag, and that is bad.
But it's
very bad.
It's like, and it's not, I use the military, I use that specific person in that unit in the Air Force as an example, but like I see that a lot in the government in general, but I'm seeing it more in like the private sector too. Now the government is more guilty of it because they're not profit dependent. Like someone can just constantly deny and just protect their job and everything's fine because they're not so hingent on the numbers because they're always going to have their budget year after year. But in a for-profit business, if your marketing is down, your sales are down and you need to take some risks, you're like, all right, let's take some risks. What do you have to lose, right?
That's the only way you'll make it.
Exactly. Yeah, so for-profit and government kind of have different mindsets, and that's also partly why I ended up leaving the military was because I do take a lot of risks, and I wanted to kind of get in a place where collaborations were more possible. Like right now, we're in my current employer's shop, and I was like, hey, is it okay if I come in with a bunch of friends and shoot a podcast that low-key has nothing to do with Ghostworks other than the fact that it's a cool location? He's like, yeah, do it, you know?
Absolutely.
Because he's like, you know, maybe one person watching is like, all right, I'll bring my car to Ghostworks, you know?
Yeah, look at this thing that Ghostworks built. This thing's insane.
Seems like a cool place. But like he gets that.
What are these? What is this called?
The K-Trucks. Yeah,
we got 2 K-Trucks.
Yeah.
Where else in America are you going to find a shop loaded up with 2 K-Trucks?
I want to know in the comments, like if you could take any car out for a day to a show, would you take the 458, the R8, or the K-Trucks?
You've taken a K-Truck to a show, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
What was the? Did it get attention?
It got more attention than my R8 does.
So I'm not even lying. One of these little guys. You take this to a Cars and Coffee. You're gonna get more mobbed than rolling up in an R8.
But this is that the K-Truck versus the R8
big wing
is the same thing as the R8 versus like a Koenigsegg or the F40 today. Like the F40 got a big crowd, but it didn't compare to the crowd that I had with Chalk. You know, because you don't have to have the most expensive toy, you just have to have the most fun one. And you have to just be the most different, the most unique. So if we're in a desensitized place that's used to seeing all these crazy cars, like you can appreciate one when it's rare, but you appreciate something different more, even if it costs
absolutely
less.
Different.
An unmodified yellow Huracan was not garnering any sort of attention. It got photographed maybe 4 times today.
Yeah.
That's it.
But the other, whoever that was that pulled up in that one crazy Huracan with the wrap and the body and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
People were all over that. or the chalk car.
And some people hate on this car a lot because like, I mean, like the house paint, think what you want. Like it's not supposed to look clean. It just is. It's art, you know, whatever. But like my geometric camo designs are a bit childish and they're in your face and they're baby blue, and like the flame kit, like I get hate for that too because like it's not real flames, it doesn't come from turbos, you know. But then again, like you can have the cleanest spec 458 at a show. Like no hate to this car, it's my favorite 100%. Italian sports car, but like people aren't getting around your 458 and following it, hoping that fire comes out of it, like they do this car. They're like, please rev it. We want to hear it again.
I'm telling you, it's the experience.
And we want to see those flames.
It's just, yeah. And the underglow, dude, the underglow, it's corny. It's from Fast and Furious. It's like whatever. But when I'm on a night rally and I flick it on and the engine bay glows and the underglow comes on and the inside is on, people are like, dang, like what is this? You know, because it's different.
Well, yeah, the underglow thing, I get what you're saying. It's different on a Camry versus like an R8.
True.
That part I get. That part I get.
But I mean, you can make it. I mean, I had a $15,000 V6 Mustang. It's sitting outside that pulled just as much attention as this does sometimes. That's and I forget that because I'll still bring it to shows and I'll pop the hood and I'll still have a crowd around that car. It's a different crowd because it's like people, it's like Mustang guys and stuff, but it's still a crowd. And it's like, okay, yeah, this car was unique. It's different, even though it's only 15 grand. It's whatever.
So how do you get flames out of a naturally aspirated V10?
They said it couldn't. We didn't think it could be done. But
I'll boundaries.
Tribute that to the guys here at Ghostworks. Kalen, our head tech, who used to work here, he cracked the code on it. And the guys here, we did a lot of R&D to figure out what brand spark plugs worked. We worked with this company called Hot Licks to get kind of the coil pack and the wiring. We had to figure out how to hook it up and basically cut spark to an engine. So I push a button and it turns the engine off. The engine runs on momentum and it still moves fuel through, and that fuel goes out the exhaust pipe. And then when that button is pushed, while it's killing the engine, it simultaneously is igniting a spark plug that's welded into the exhaust tips. People have been doing this for years. Like it's not a new thing, but cracking the code on a V10 is new because I don't know anybody that figured that out. And it is way harder to do it on this car than it is like a Mustang, for example. And all the Mustangs can do it now.
And this thing spits.
It's a lot. And
that's an understatement.
Yeah. And it's because
that is a damn understatement.
It's ECU.
Even in the middle of the day with full light, full sun, you see flames pouring out of the back of this car.
I'm not going to lie to you, okay? When we got on that drive and we were heading from South OC Cars and Coffee to here, and you got on the freeway and you ripped it, you impressed the hell out of me. The sound on this thing, and then plus when you started spitting those flames, I was like, oh, dude, this is in a whole nother realm.
Yeah.
You got like, okay, I am somebody that wants to get into the modification world. I feel like the both of us, and when it comes to the car side of things, we are less on that side of things more than just appreciation for it. But we want to get into that side of things. Hearing this thing and seeing it rip and everything in between, the bug has bitten me. I'm in. I want to turn this thing. I want that action now.
Dude, I joke with people all the time. Like I talked to a guy that had an R8 today, and he was with his buddy, and he was like, "I was thinking about modifying." I'm like, "I'm the worst person to talk to. I am like a drug dealer, bro. I'll give you like a little bit, and you'll taste it, and you'll be like, I need more. Like I want it all. Like
Will Collette single-handedly ruined my life today.
What all have you done to this?
We did the
if
HE
it's not
tuning
too much to list.
Tune. Oh yeah, sure. It's not crazy. We did HE tuning tune. That was a secret to the pops and bangs and dumping all the fuel for the flames.
Yeah.
The ECU on this car is so old, it's dumb. It doesn't know how to protect itself. So you cannot get these flames on a newer Huracan or a Gen 2 or newer R8. You can't get it on a V8. It has to be this car only. And
so up to 2012.
When did the Gen 2 stop?
Or 13,
you might be able to
13.
get away with higher, as long as it's the
14
Gen 1
and 15 was the Gen 1, but they switched to the dual clutch. I don't know if they
upgraded
the ECU
changed or not. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it got all the Huracan internals in 14, just in the old body style.
Yeah.
14 and 15, and then 16 was we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I'm too deep.
So maybe then. But yeah, you got to have a dumb ECU. You got to have the
I can't help it.
the flame kit that we added. I'm on Bilstein coilovers to lower it. I'm on X-Comp tires, 200 tread compound sticky tires. I got these awesome kick-ass Bricks and Forge wheels.
Those wheels are beautiful.
We have the Maxton Design aero kit. We have the big fat signature APR carbon wing on the back, good for I think 5,000 pounds of downforce.
With a special message in the back that I like. I think I almost crashed laughing at it.
That
when I
pissed
read
off a lot of people too.
I saw a Tesla behind you at one point, taking pictures and laughing.
Yeah.
What does it say? Tell the viewers.
It says Teslas can't hang after 100 miles an hour.
Teslas can't hang after 100 miles an hour.
I added that when we pulled the trigger on nitrous for this. So it's getting nitrous next week. This is the first day it has driven 100% mechanically working aside from all the gear oil I threw on your Ferrari. Like it works, it's programmed, everything's good. And we're putting nitrous on it on Tuesday.
That's going to be a heck of a day. Now, let me ask you this. This might not be the correct question or how to phrase it, but I'm just genuinely curious.
Yeah.
What type of fuel you're running on this thing?
Just 91.
Just 91.
Occasionally I'll throw like up to 5 gallons. The HC tuning tune will support 5 gallons of E85 on this platform. But I don't do it that often.
What exactly would be the reason that someone would need to do an E85 setup comparative to just running 91 fuel?
Power.
That's it.
Yeah, higher octane, you know, burns faster.
More explosive, more everything in between.
Yeah, you can get, if you do too much, you'll start to misfire. So that's why I say like 5 gallons, I think, is the cap on this 23-gallon tank. So you can switch to, you can do flex fuel. And you can upgrade your pump and injectors, and then you can go full 85, I believe. But I just didn't go down the route. Like 91 octane is good. I didn't buy this. It's fast, but I didn't buy this car to be like crazy fast. Like I just wanted it to be crazy loud, visually, and like a market.
Really define like the exotic type of thing. Like this, like there's definitely, I can guarantee you, this is the epitome of a one of one. Like there's nothing like this.
Well, you walked me in your Z06 today. Like that was like we did a little pull race, and I was like, dang, I even kind of jumped that hit, and I still like I could, dude. It's not the fastest car.
We're talking about 11 years of engineering.
Yeah, that's true.
Still though,
don't get me going, because you're opening the door for me to get going on the Z06, and I'll take that. If someone opens that door, I'll walk through that motherfucker, and I'll sit right in the middle of the floor, and I'll keep going.
Yeah, we're talking about 12 years of engineering. That Z06 is definitely. I mean,
what gear were you in when we started? I'm just genuinely curious. Second.
It was third on the first one, and then second on the second one. Yeah,
I was in third. I was 4,000 RPMs third gear the whole time.
That's
and then
crazy.
Literally just gas, no kick down, nothing. All it was just gas in third gear and just go.
That
awesome, thing. Dude. Telling you that people sleep on this damn thing. 2023 Corvette Z06, #1 car on the market right now. You heard it here first.
So how about like, I know you've driven a lot of different cars.
Yes.
So let's hear maybe your top 3 favorites.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, let's start with
your top 3 least favorites. I want to hear both sides. Of this
favorites, biggest letdown.
I got you right now on the least favorite, bro. I'm gonna get crucified for this. It's fine. Bring it on. The 720S, the McLaren 720S, least favorite supercar I've driven. And that, like, so many people are like, what? Like, they freak out. And it's like, can I afford one? Not even close. Is that car way faster than mine? Yes. Does it have doors that go up? Yes. Does it sound sick? Yes. Does it look like a UFO? Yes. Does it get more attention than my car? Absolutely. Like, it is a kick-ass car. It's not my least favorite, bro. I think it's so overrated. I think driving the gas pedal, it feels like you're stepping in mud.
McLaren's
the brake
overrated.
pedal is not responsive. They brake all the time. I've never sat in a McLaren that didn't have one electrical problem with it. Dude, McLaren OEM gave us I think it was the Elva, the like really expensive multi-million-dollar, like
the roofless one.
No roof, like neon green. And it was down for months because they couldn't fix it. And then they gave it to us and then immediately check engine light, dude. Like, overrated. And I don't like how it feels. I don't like how it's like it's not raw. Like there's like turbo lag. Like, dude, all of it. Like,
no, it's all good.
Yeah, they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me for that one.
Trust me. When you say that, I'm
at least you didn't go after Porsche, because you after Porsche, and the Porsche Cult will come after you.
I'll happily go after Porsche.
You can say anything you want about Lamborghini.
I'll go after them.
Anything you want about Ferrari. You can say anything you want about McLaren. Say anything you want about anyone. Come after the Porsche 911.
I don't think it.
Your comment section.
I don't think I can.
What, to get one?
To like come after him. Like the only thing I can say is that if you take the numbers off the back and park a 911 next to a Cayman, next to like anything essentially other than a Boxster, I'm not gonna be able to tell the difference.
There is no damn difference.
I can tell the difference.
I'll come at them. I'm glad you opened this up. I'll come at everybody that thinks like, Porsches are these insane vehicles. They're ridiculous, bro. They're a joke, and I can't believe people obsess about these damn cars.
If you get to drive them, you can tell.
Right,
you can tell based on how they perform. But like, dude, like you put it you take the wing up in 2RS and put it next to a Cayman, bro. I cannot tell you the difference.
There's no
difference. Even with the wing, I'm like, you could add a wing to a Cayman, and I couldn't tell you which one the 2RS was, which is kind of embarrassing.
Bro, if you took all the generations of the 911, you parked them back to back to back to back, you will see that Porsche literally does, we're going to make 2 small adjustments, and then we're going to run it 4 or 5 years. 2 small adjustments. They have milked you guys for years on the same car and just changing power and doing this. But I can't believe people still buy this crap. Like, I don't understand.
But they would say that they've been perfecting it over the decades. They've never restarted because they've been perfecting it. Here's my big. I mean, we've covered this probably too many times at this point. Yeah. But my biggest issue with Porsche, well, one, they make some incredible cars.
Yeah.
So like, they make some incredible cars. I'm not gonna like. I love the Turbo S. I love the GT3R, the GT line in general.
Yeah.
We drove a base 911.
Yeah.
And we ripped the base 911.
Ripped it. Like disrespect. Like kind of like what you were telling me about like the rental when you guys were doing that. Like we disrespected.
It on the road, and then we disrespected it on the podcast.
Yeah,
literally.
And people came after us for disrespecting the base 911 because we're like, this is a $130,000 car new.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's got 379 horsepower.
Yeah.
And it's not very fast.
It's a joke.
And it's very comfortable.
Stress enough.
It's a great sports car if it was $80,000, but they're selling it for 130 grand. I've seen MSRPs at 150 for a base 911.
Yeah.
Who's buying that? And then they come after us.
A lot of people
There's like, you don't know how to drive. If you need need X, Y, or Z, it's like, no, it's an overpriced sports car.
Yeah.
It's a good car, but it's way overpriced for what you're paying. You can get V10s for the cost of a 379 horsepower sports car.
He's literally the epitome of like what we're talking about. Like $130,000 value. Would you rather have a base 911 or would you rather go down this path and make this happen?
I had that decision actually because the shop wanted me to get a 911. And they were like, we can make it fast. We can do turbo upgrades. We can put the Swan Neck.
You can modify those cars.
And they're like, we can make this thing a kick-ass car.
You
and I was
make
like,
a turbo S if you
I
wanted to.
don't want it. I don't like how it looks.
Right.
Like, I want a car. Like, I loved the flashiness of the Mustang. I was like, I need a car that's like, that also feels like a supercar. And to me, like, I think the 911 Turbo S is a supercar. I think it's 2RS, 3RS. Those are supercars. I don't think a base 911 is a supercar.
Oh, it's nowhere near as
close.
I wanted my
I don't even
dream
want to call it a sports car. Absolutely, I agree with you.
This is a supercar. Also, whoever wants to come at me and tell me an R8 is not a supercar, because I've been seeing that pop up around lately.
Who is saying that?
Insane.
A mid-engine naturally aspirated V10.
I'll even go to bat for the V8 R8s because I still think it's 50%
the platform
race car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you're
it's
crazy.
Fast. And it's always the guys that are like
Iron
in
Man
their mom's like Toyota. Like, it's
Man
not a
Yes.
supercar.
Yeah, literally, like you go on their page and it's like, I drive a 96 Camry and everything in between. I'm like, please don't come at me with your opinions. Like, I beg of you.
Do you have your favorite cars you've driven?
Favorite car? Well, I told you the favorite car I ever rode in was that Apollo IE because that wasn't even like a car experience. That's
an out of world.
And that caught you off guard.
That was not real life, dude. Like,
what was that story? Because we talked about that before we were on. This was earlier.
Yeah, this organization called Hyper NFT has quite the impressive collection of hypercars. Everything from like.
Here's really the question.
Yeah.
What's the craziest car you've ever been in?
That Apollo IE.
That takes the cake.
For sure.
Awesome.
Dude, like,
I love it.
Like, and the funny thing is like that they had if you watch YouTube, you've seen Hyper NFT, you know the cars they have. They got a Chiron, they got these one-off like MSO spec like McLarens.
Crazy.
They got and they're all together. Mm-hmm. And it was like a video game. Like, you ever see that scene in like Need for Speed where he's like, which Koenigsegg do you want? And he has like the keys.
Yeah.
It was that type of moment where he's like, we're going to Cars and Coffee. We're gonna drive one of these around for about 2 hours. Which one would you like to ride in? And I was like, the Pagani. And they're like, you sure you don't want to ride in? I was like, no, I'm sure that's the car I want. And then my roommate who was with me, he was like, no, I'm going to ride in the Pagani. You got to pick something else. I was like, all right, I guess I'll ride in the Apollo IE. Because that was like, honestly, one of my last choices. It just looked like a Batman car to me. Like, it looked like a gimmicky movie
You've seen
car.
this chapter done before.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
whatever.
I mean, like it's crazy. It's all carbon. Like, you need to put like a picture of it here so people like see it. But like, it's nuts. But like, then I got
a Hot
in
Wheels car.
I didn't know what
literally.
straight cut gears were. And then I learned that day, I didn't know you had to have a headset on to talk because the engine's so loud. You could be this close at idle at a red light. And you're like, what? So the engine is ridiculous.
I did not know that at all.
It's like a 5 or 6 point harness. So like, dude, like you had it coming from the Air Force guy. You want to talk about a fighter jet? You hear people like, oh, my car's a spaceship. My car's a fighter jet, whatever. Like, no, it's not. The Apollo IE is a fighter jet because you strap in, you can't move. My feet are like this and you're just cinched in. They had to take my Sony camera and put it in a different car because there's no room for it inside this car. And like your legs are like, tight. Everything is red on the inside. And the dashboard looks like, what's the time traveling car from the movie? The
DeLorean?
It looks like a DeLorean. Like all these like, I'm like, I work on cars. I don't know what the hell any of these things are for. What are you reading? Like, what is all this stuff? And then like, and the steering wheel was like it looked fake. It looked like a movie prop.
Yeah.
It was not a wheel. And the guy that got in it had like a leather jacket, a cowboy hat, and he pulls off his cowboy boots. He goes, "Hey, would you hold these for me, son?" He's like, "I'm gonna put on my his little racing shoes or whatever so you can fit in." He's like, "I'll tell you when to hand those back to me." And I was like,
Manny Koshman's vibe right there.
Okay, yeah, and like, because his boots won't fit. Like, it's like really tight in there.
They're made
and
for
like,
walking, not
dude,
driving.
He's like push some like 20 button sequence to start this thing and then like cut on. And I was like, oh my God, here we go. And he took us down a toll road at speeds that I was just like, we are so dead. A ladybug would kill us, bro.
Right,
like,
literally anything.
thank God this road is paved. But like, I was just like, this guy, I was like kind of checking. I was like, he doesn't have a family. He doesn't have kids. Like, he's not thinking like that. He's just running on adrenaline,
all
bro.
Vibes.
And I remember like, I was
vibes.
just like pulling on every part of that seatbelt. I was like, make sure I'm like really in this thing. Like, oh my God.
So that car is like that. I thought that car was all show and no go. That car is really crazy
my
like
God.
that.
And then they have to service it every couple, like 100 miles or 1,000, whatever it is. It's not a lot. Service interval is small. And they fly in a team from Germany. So like they had this thing up on like a lift of some sort in the place. Because when we drove it for 2 hours, they were like blown away that we put that much street time on it. Because it's really supposed to be like a track-only car.
You're like, you did what?
And
With
yeah,
what?
they were kind of pissed off about it,
Right.
the manufacturer. And they're like, well, now we got to service all these different things. So servicing, including putting it on, taking that whole shell off. And this car, the technology of this thing, like all the hoses and lines and everything. I thought I was like, it was like stepping like 50 years in the future. I was like, this is what you think of, like, think like Blade Runner meets like the Matrix. And like the underneath this car is crazy. And I was looking at it and like the wheels were off of it and everything. And they have this team from Germany that like works on it and stuff. I remember looking at it and it was like, dude, I was like blown away at the technology in this vehicle. I mean, it comes with like what, an $8 million price tag or whatever it is. It was the most expensive car there. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
That's number one.
What color was it?
All carbon.
all carbon.
All carbon?
Are they, no,
Not a tinted carbon, just a
Inside
straight
was
carbon?
Just carbon. Yeah.
Just carbon with the red interior. I think I've seen
Yeah.
seen pictures of
Yeah,
that
the car's
on
nuts.
videos or
The car's
whatever.
nuts.
Okay, so that's the craziest car you've ever been in. What about like favorite cars you've driven?
I
Your R8. This is the favorite car you've driven.
I love my R8.
No, give them that out.
Yeah.
That's not. That's
Yeah.
easy out. No. I want the raw. I want the raw.
Yeah.
Okay, here. How about this? Let me restructure the question.
Yeah.
What car were you most surprised by, either positive or negatively?
Oh, I know immediately. MC20 negative. Dude,
Extremely negative.
I wanted that to be like
felt
my
the
next
same
supercar,
way.
bro.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
You're like, this thing's going to
it's
depreciate
so perfect.
50%.
It's a Maserati.
I depreciation, whatever. I was like, this is the best looking supercar I've ever seen. It's a designer's dream. I was like, oh, it's perfect. I wouldn't even modify anything about it. I was like, just keep it the same. It's
It is
wonderful.
sexy. It is sexy.
And we had one in the shop, and I drove it around the block. I'm like, what is this tiny little engine they put in here? This little hybrid nothing. And then you drove it around. I was like, this doesn't feel like a supercar. It feels like I'm driving like a, I don't know. It wasn't even like, even a Mustang is more raw of an experience than the MC20. And I was like, no. And as doors that go up, it was amazing. And I was just like, worst driving experience ever.
I'm telling you, leave it up to
Immediately
Maserati.
threw it out. Like
Leave
within
it
like
Maserati.
2 minutes, I was like, nope, that dream came and went so fast.
Leave it to Maserati to ruin a wet
So
dream.
no good experiences driving cars. You got nothing that was
Good
like, man,
experience
that was
like,
awesome.
Blew me away.
Something.
I mean, like I'm not like that conceited. Like I've had plenty of like moments. I'm trying to think of like, okay, of all the cars, I'm trying to think of like a moment because like I think the story behind like everything, how it's like unfolding.
Right.
Sure.
The development of it and like how it all plays out and stuff like that. We more so trying to define the question form a little bit more too. Like
What was the first supercar you drove?
Oh, this is a great story. This is such a cool story.
it is.
This involves the Air Force and Tesla getting shit on and Elon Musk and
Let's run it.
Story time. Are you ready? Buckle up.
Story
Okay.
time with Will.
So
We're back,
you're gonna love
baby.
it. You're gonna love my answer. So I'm sitting at my desk in the Air Force. I get a call and they're like, "Hello, this is Motor Trend. We'd like to drag race over a dozen cars on your runway. How do we get this approved?" And I was like, "Probably not gonna happen because I know how the Air Force is, but I love cars.
tried.
So let me do whatever it takes because I'll put my career on the line to try to make something happen."
Right.
So I go to the wing commander. I was like, "Hey, Motor Trend wants to race some cars on your runway. We get asked about this type of thing all the time by one-offs and stuff, and we always say no." I was like, "What is it going to take?" Actually, you're both going to love this answer. And he goes, "Wait, the new he said the new Camaro came out, didn't it? At the time, it was the ZL1."
yeah, the ZL1.
Chevy
Very-
car.
very
Chevy
familiar.
car.
Very
and the
familiar.
commander
Joe
said,
had a
if
ZL1.
I can drive that car, they can do whatever they want. And I was like, that's it? Really? And he's like, yeah. So I go to Motor Trend. I was like, can the commander drive the ZL1? They're like, absolutely. Okay, done. So the first ever world's greatest drag race that Motor Trend did on a military base was done at Vandenberg Air Force Base. And I was the liaison between the military and Motor Trend. So they snuck all these cars on base in the super early morning on a weekend. And they had a 488, they had a 570, they had an i11 Turbo S, they had no Lamborghinis, they had a ZR1, they had a ZL1, and a few other cars. And I'd been around supercars we had filmed all day, and they're like, wow, you guys are on point. We have like 3 hours left. We were way ahead of schedule. You have a runway that you own. We have cars that we don't own. Like, the liability is not there. The manufacturers give Motor Trend these cars and kind of, you know? So like, why don't you guys go drive them? Because there were more cars than there were uniformed military on the runway. So they had a table of keys, and I just grabbed the closest key. What key did I grab? The 911 Turbo S.
Perfect.
And I remember driving that thing down that runway. We got it up to 170 miles an hour because this runway is 3.25 miles long. It's designed to land space shuttles. The Antonov, one of the biggest aircraft ever, brings in like rocket boosters, lands on this runway. So it's in pristine shape. You got air cannons to scare birds. There's no birds, there's no animals, it's fenced in. We FOD check it all the time, so there's no like debris. Like, this is one of those moments you're like, go as fast as you possibly can and don't think about it.
When else are you going to be doing what you're doing?
And the runway is so wide, they could drag race 12 of them side by side and still have room left over. So I punched it in that car, and I remember thinking, like, that was my first supercar experience. I was like, oh my God, this is a whole other level of car. This just feels fast. And I was like, this is amazing. I want whatever this is. And then I got out, and the head of security forces was there, and he was like, oh, I have the 488. He's like, you want to drive the 488 and I'll drive the Porsche? I was like, okay. And we tossed the keys to each other, and I got the 488. And this is when I learned that supercars are low. And I drove out, I ripped it to go out on the apron of the runway, and the apron dips a little bit, and I almost bumped the bumper on the edge. And I was like, oh my God. Barely didn't hit it. And then I drove the 570 in that order. So I got to experience all three on the first day. But that 911 Turbo S is the first supercar.
Yeah.
And of those races, they did the World's Greatest Drag Race is actually a compilation of multiple drag races shot on the same day, pieced together as one. Now, they do actually time the cars, and they do actually reflect the car that gets the fastest overall time all day as the winner. Now, they did I think it was 12 cars, and they added in, I think it was a 13th. It was a Tesla Model S. And of course, Tesla, it was a quarter-mile race.
Standard Model S, though.
Just a base Model S.
Not a Plaid.
Plaid did not exist.
Not a Plaid.
This was in 16, I think.
Yeah. Probably like a P85D.
And I don't even know if the Model X was out.
I don't think the P100D existed or anything like that.
P85D was the first, like, wow, that thing's so fast, and then the P100D, and then the Plaid.
So they had this Tesla, and they're like, all right, we're going to drag race. It was a quarter-mile race, and they did something. It was like 50-something drag races that day. And throughout the whole day, the Porsche needed 0 fill-ups of gas.
Of course it did.
Did its launch control every single time perfectly without fail, set the same time every single time all day long. The Ferrari got them a couple times. I think the McLaren may have won one. Here and there, every once in a while, one of the supercars, like a McLaren or something, would not get its launch control perfect, but for the most part, it was pretty good. The Tesla, dude, needed 3 recharges that day, messed up its launch control very frequently, and somehow posted the fastest overall time by like a quarter of a second. I think one time. Of like the 50-something races the Tesla won, the Porsche won, like it was either almost 50 or 50 of them. So Porsche won, in my opinion, that day. But because they advertised Tesla, everybody was, oh, Tesla, the fastest car, the best, the quarter mile, and that's why I can't hang after 100 miles an hour. Because if they kept going past a quarter mile, a lot of those cars would have just started walking that Tesla. And the other thing is, like, if you were in a drag race, you're taking best one, however many out of 100, the Tesla is going to win like 2 of them. That's not a drag racing car, in my opinion.
No, this is 2016 Tesla, though.
Yeah. Now you have the Plaid.
Now not even the Plaid, just the way Tesla is in general now. They're a completely different company, and their cars are, in my opinion, ridiculous now.
They are fast.
Do you think, what are the chances that you run everything back, run it back exactly, but just update everything to current year? You think it turns out the same way, or you think?
It's a good question. I don't know what the reliability of Tesla is these days. Like, yeah, you might have a faster Tesla. You might have a faster Tesla, but I don't know, like, are you still going to have to give the Plaid 3 recharges? Are you still going to have to let it screw up 20 launch controls? Like, if you're in it, if I push the seat, is it going to squeak because the body panels aren't put on very well? Like,
that feels irrelevant to the conversation.
It probably will squeak.
Like,
that
is the entire interior made of plastic? Like, is it going to be able to like really give it a run for its money on like a full track? Is it going to do a full track day and handle it? Like, probably not.
Well, I don't think that shouldn't be anyone's goal with the Tesla, I wouldn't think.
But that's the thing is that like all these Tesla guys, they just hear the horsepower numbers and they take it all the way to the bank.
That's it. They hear the 0 to 60, they hear the horsepower numbers,
and they're like, cool, we got the best. We can beat all the decades and decades of racing experience Ferrari has and, engineering that Porsche has, and we're the best. It's like, no, you're just a battery, dude.
Literally.
Like,
you're a computer on wheels.
And you can have the most tricked out Tesla ever. Like we talk about being unique and stuff. You can make the most unique Tesla ever. Like they've come to South OC. There's a reason why they're always like in the back.
Yeah,
like, there was one today, a Model 3 with Lambo doors and stuff.
Doors, it was
like you can make them look kind of crazy, but like nobody is pushing people out of the way to see a Tesla like they are to see some crusty old Ferrari,
What do you think about a Cybertruck?
What about a Rimac?
Oh, there. Better question.
I have another story on a Rimac. We did Hyper NFT, did a collaboration with Fujifilm in the blimp thing, the tower, whatever in Tustin that burned down recently. And they shot a commercial for Fuji. They needed some hypercars to do donuts. So they did donuts in Koenigsegg's. They did donuts in the Apollo IE. They did donuts in all these other hypercars. And Rimac brought a car that didn't even start. Never got to participate.
That hurts. I saw one on the road once. That was pretty wild.
Like stuff like that never sees the light of day then.
No, you don't hear about that stuff.
You don't hear that kind of stuff.
Unless it was back in the day and it happened on Top Gear.
Like
when the Zinvo caught fire back in the day.
Yeah, they said nobody posted, nobody like films it, like it's not part of the video, whatever. I mean, they did everything to try to fix it, but even to fix it, they had to like take half of it apart, and they're like, we need like a whole shop to do this and a specialized engineer. It was too much.
See, like that exactly what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
It tests back to like some of the points we've talked about. People see the face value of what the internet puts in front of them, and they believe everything. So like you get these Porsche fanboys that come and attack us about all this stuff like that, but they've never driven the Porsche.
Because the Turbo S is the fastest 0 to 60. They've never driven the Porsche. And you're like,
they've never really experienced it. All they did is they might have somebody in their life that they considered successful. They bought up 911 and they're like, this is God. And I'm like, this is not the case. Except the brand and the moniker. Now, one thing I will say Porsche has done really well is that they've built this moniker and this brand of this like sports car excellence. How they've brainwashed people, I have no idea. But I don't know how they've been so successful like that. But like we talked about before, it's just carbon copying everything. And you talk about the Rimac story. People hear about Rimac and they hear that brand and they're like, that's crazy hypercar. It's got to be God. Yet they bring something like that. It doesn't even start. People can't even imagine. I guarantee you 99% of the people that comment on anything Porsche related, if they were to hop in a base 911 Carrera and then hop into any Lambo, any Ferrari, any R8.
Let's go a base 911 Carrera and an R8 that costs $30,000 less, like a Gen 1 R8. Put them behind the wheel of that and stomp it with that V10.
I am 100% confident. I'll bet my 458 on it that people will not pick the 911 Carrera over any Gen 1 R8, in terms of driving experience.
If you actually put them behind the wheel and say, here, drive this.
We might have to do this, like a Supercar Connection times Billco, like experience day.
You need you need somebody that you trust but has never driven out of a car.
Yes.
Right.
That's damn near impossible. But
somebody that has like a decent sports car that like will take care of it, or somebody you trust. I don't know, some scenario where you can try to get it unbiased, but or you could just take them for a ride in the car.
Literally.
Just
drive both these cars.
Because I feel like we can all push the limit to the car and understand exactly how to make it work. I'm telling you, the Porsche is just such a letdown. Like you said, as you get up, they get better. But even still, like I don't know how you felt and how you still feel about the Turbo S. I hate that car. And I'm going to get scolded for even that.
It's amazing, but I'll never like spend the money to get what it is because there's other cars in that tax bracket that I would rather have.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, my opinion now, I don't know how you feel about this. There's something about the car that gives me like, it's like there's no spice, there's no flavor, there's no life. Like that car behind you,
there's no sparks.
It's like talking about like
the Porsche guys are gonna come out. They're like this chalk drawn piece of.
Yeah, I'm like these guys know what they're talking
this
about.
This is better than the Porsche engine.
I'm telling you.
Okay, I'll give you this though. Like we're in a car shop, and I told you guys already today. Like the amount of Porsches that have come here since I've worked here, the several years that I've worked here, for a repair has been zero.
It's all modifications.
Yes, they're here to modify, or their car's already perfect from factory, and you can't really get better. And the Porsches that come in for an exhaust, we tell them you're going to lose horsepower because you can't beat the factory. It'll sound better, it'll be louder, but you're going to lose horsepower and back pressure. So like you can't like Porsche. They figured it out, dude. Let me ask you this: they know how to build a car.
Why do people still modify the car then?
To
give it a soul, to give
it some,
to make
because it ain't got shit when it comes out the damn factory. They build these things like German Panzerschrecks and like they're ridiculous. Like that, it don't make no. I get so riled about this because if anybody knew what they were talking about instead of just putting something on the internet, they would understand that thing behind you will outdo any base 911. 2023 base 911.
Oh God, now they're all going to be like, race me, Billco.
100%. Let's add it. We'll set it up. We will set it up. We'll do Irwindale Day. We'll do Irwindale Day. Everybody versus Billco. Me, Gavin, and Billco. We'll bring all the Z06,
a base
the Ferrari,
911 is not like a base 911. It's a sports car. Like and people always come after us too because they're like they start talking about track times for a base 911. I'm like, I'm sure it's like it does well at the track, sure. And like you said, reliability wise, you drive it, whatever. I don't go to the track.
Yeah.
I take my cars to the canyons. I have a great time. I drive to work and back. But I'm not driving the canyons every day, and I'm not driving the track every day. So it's got to be fun in between the red lights.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Still, and the base 911 is zero fun in between the red lights. Zero fun.
Yeah.
So it's like you're spending all that money on a car that's only fun when you're in a place that you can like push it in that way, compared to a car that's fun literally all the time.
Yeah.
Every time you pull out of the garage, I'm sure you could take this to Ralph's and have fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I make friends all the time in like parking lots and gas stations and stuff.
I can only imagine. You get an old man looking at you, he's like, what do you got here, son? Like, what the heck have you done to this thing?
It's like that, dude. It's so funny.
I can only imagine the type of conversations you've probably gotten into.
A lot of cool people.
What's the craziest like experience you've had from a regular person spotting you or seeing you and just coming up and trying to strike a conversation with you?
I mean, today we were leaving the car show, and like as I was rolling out, I had everyone's attention with this car because they watch it roll in clean and they watch it roll out covered in chalk, and 90% of the people at the show
Billco genius, baby,
wrote their name on it. So like they were like, dang, look at how many names are, and as I'm rolling out, this she must have been in her 30s or 40s, something like that. She had a little kid with her. She was like, can he take a picture of your car real quick? And I was kind of like in stop and go, waiting to get out of the cars and coffee. And I was like, yeah, sure. So he took a picture next to the car. I'm standing there. And I was like, dude, we're going at like walking pace. Why don't you hop in and your mom can just kind of like follow us? And kid only spoke German. But he wanted to ride in the R8, go figure. And his mom was like, you're not going to, like, he's from like a small town in like Germany. He's here visiting for like a couple days. He's about to go home. He's never seen anything like this. And like, he gets to like ride out of this car show with hundreds of people are at this show.
Hundreds.
All of their eyeballs. And he's like, I think she said it was 6. And he's in the passenger seat. I gave him my sunglasses, and I knew just enough German to like talk to him a little bit, and he's like,
you speak German?
Just a little bit, like not enough to be fluent. I took a lot of it in college, and I wanted to live there for some time. But this kid sit up in the front end of the seat and just kind of looked out, and everybody's looking at this kid. Like that was awesome. Like that was fun, but like I'll remember it forever. But that kid for sure will.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I think it's like the times like that where you get to share it with someone else. Cause I even when I first started my YouTube channel, I said, it's all about sharing. Like even when I had access to like, supercars, whenever I got one, I would call up as many friends as I could. Like one time my friend loaned me a 600 LT and I had it for a whole day. I called every single friend I possibly could. I said, we're going to go get boba. We're going to go to get drinks. We're going to take it to church. We're going to go. I was going to wash it. Like whatever I could with as many people as I could because I want as many people to experience this as possible while I had it. And I just remember saying, I can't wait till I have a supercar and I can just tell people I try to take different people to meets all the time. I call like my neighbor. I call my friend. I take my mom, like whoever I can, because they all get to that experience that, we're desensitized to. You've jumped in this 458 a time or two. You kind of know what to expect, but somebody that rides in it, it's going to be the highlight of their month at least.
Absolutely. That's actually the concept that you're describing is literally something that I've had to mentally rework the way I thought about it. Mm-hmm. Like you're at a point now where you treat this car, you've worked on this car so much, you've torn it down to the bones, you've built it back up. So for you, sharing the experience is where you're at.
Yeah.
I used to be where no one touched my car, nobody drive my car. I don't want X, Y, and Z. Don't eat in my car. Don't do anything. And I learned. I said, "There's no value in that." I like, and I'm getting experiences, and I'm finding out that I get joy, pure joy, from allowing others to not only drive my cars, experience my car. Shout out Benji. Experience it, sit in it, use it, do whatever. Because one other thing too is if you're gonna rise and
did I teach you
yourself,
that?
You did teach me that.
Yeah,
100%, absolutely.
Really?
Did. Yes. There's him and I starting this together. He had never driven a supercar before this. We started this. And I was like, okay, I have been blessed to be able to drive something. And right when we started this was I got the opportunity to buy my first one. So when we did all this, I said, I'm going to change the way he thinks about everything and then put him in the seat of this put them in the seats of more cars.
Yeah, exactly.
On top of that, when you start building a team around you, you realize that if you're going to elevate and go to the highest points of success, you cannot do that by yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that try to be like, oh, I'm a lone wolf. I'll stand on myself. I'll do everything myself. That is the most idiotic mentality in the world. You need to rely on others. You have to find people around you that not only care about you, but are willing to help you and support you. And by doing that, if you have access to things like, for example, access this R8, access to the Ferrari, and you know people that do not, and you can change their lives, you will be so surprised of the value that not only they'll give back to you, but the loyalty and help they'll give you to help you not only ascend and bring them with you. That I've had to rechange my whole mind, because I used to be like, the idea of him driving my car a year ago, I would have thrown up in my own mouth. And then now I'm like, Gavin, take the damn Ferrari keys. I'm going to drive the Corvette. Benji, I'm going to give him my other Corvette. Like, I don't even care anymore. Because as long as everybody around me is enjoying and living their best life.
I put Benji in the 4C the first time I met him. I'd known Benji for like an hour, and I was like, you want to drive it? It's fun. He was like, yeah, sure.
Most of you don't know, remember Benji. Benji's our media guy. He's probably one of the craziest influencers we know. He's freaking amazing. But
do you want to stir the pot a little bit? I know you said you want some reels.
Let's do the pot.
Do you want to know what car owner calls me out the most, both in person and online, trying to race and has no business doing so?
Please and thank you. Please and thank you.
Tag him. We got to make sure and tag this guy.
Yes,
no. It's not a guy. It's a type of driver. It's the Mopar guys.
No, dude, don't get me started.
The Challenger and Chargers, bro, they all want a piece of the R8, and it's like, it's always like a guy that just has like a loud exhaust or something. It's like, dude, it's like even like Hellcats and stuff. Like they're fast cars and they can drag race, and like I'll give it to them, bro.
Straight
like,
line.
huh?
Straight line. Fast.
Yeah, sure. Like whatever you want. I don't care.
That's it.
Yeah,
straight line speed. The second that any of those cars have to go, that shit is ending up in a sidewall, or you're going to end up in spinning out because they can't put the power they have. It's overdone to the ground.
But here's the thing: like even though they can win at a drag race, I have been willing to meet them in their turf, because like it's an all-wheel drive car with launch control. It can hold its own, but it's not the fastest car out there. And a Hellcat would certainly give me a run for my money, or super stock, or hire a demon to walk this thing. However, those guys talk the most and don't back it up. The last 3 Hellcats that have made a ton of noise online. Oh, my thing's so crazy. Maybe, and they probably are. Like, one of the guys, I think, was working with like 1,300 horsepower. Like, there's no question he would have smashed me. I'm like, cool, here's the drag race date that I'm signed up for, because I drag this car and my other car all the time. Pick which one you want to race, and I'll do it. And I show up. No one shows up.
Never.
No one shows up. No. And like, dude, this one Challenger owner, dude, I was coming home from church. He had a Hellcat. And there was like traffic, dude. Like, it was like on a freeway. Like I told you, like, you won't catch me doing like these high-speed roll races on the freeway, let alone against a Hellcat. Definitely not in traffic.
No.
And like, he just pulls up next to me, and his windows are so tinted I can barely see him, and then he just smashes it, nearly like, hits a car switching lanes, and then like takes his exit. And I was like, that was really embarrassing. It was like the most clapped car too. It was like his fitment was off, his wheels were all sunken in, he had stickers all over the car in like a not tasteful way. I was like, bro, the car's like barely held together. What are you doing? But I was just kind of cruising, bro. Like, there was a car probably not even an 1/8 mile ahead of me. Like, I'm just chilling, and like, I get home and there's this Instagram reel up, smash Billco's R8. I didn't even know who this guy was. And
you got added on this?
Huh?
You got like, this guy actually came and targeted you.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
He like videotaped my car getting like left in the dust as I was cruise controlled at like 75 while he nearly killed people in front of him to like cross across traffic and take his exit. And I was like,
and
that
then
guy
posted it like it was a drag.
He posted it like it was a race. And I was like, what the heck? And it cut, because you could only drive for so long because the traffic was there. It cut so fast. He filmed him like pulling away, and they like cut. And I was like, what? And then I was like, all right, I'll entertain this for a little bit. So like, I replied, I was like, dude, I was in like cruise control. I was like coming home from church. Like, who are you? You know? And then he was like, bro, I'll race you any day you want, whatever. And I was like, okay. So then he was on an Instagram live, and I requested to be in his live. And I hopped on, and when I requested, I was wrenching on this car in this shop. I had like a Lamborghini up on the rack behind me. I was working on the R8. I was like, so I heard you want to drag race the car. I was like, how about we actually race this time? Irwindale, Origins was hosting an event at Irwindale. I think it was in like a week or two, something like that. I was like, I'm gonna sign up to be there. I was gonna bring my Mustang. I'll bring this, and I'll put $1,000 on it right now. If you don't show up, I'll still give $1,000 in my church just so it goes somewhere, so people know I'm not bullshitting. I was like, if you win, I'll give you $1,000. And like, you have a suited up Hellcat, apparently should have no problem beating this. And he did not show up. Not only that, he deleted his whole Instagram. Gone.
That bad.
Gone, dude.
You destroyed that guy.
Ghosted.
That bad.
But like it was cool about it because he was posting like, oh, we got this bag and like all this stuff, and he was like shit talking me the whole week, and I was like, this is kind of cool, you know. It's gonna hype. This is gonna be a fun race for people to watch.
Right.
Win or lose, like it's gonna be interesting, you know. And I deep down I was like, I have a shot. This guy I don't think knows how to race. He's gonna have to get the hit right. He's gonna have to, you know, I drag race all the time. Like
he's gonna have to get every single aspect,
right.
Even
he's gonna have to hook up, like you know
Everything.
what I mean. Like I was like, I think I might have him.
He
But
won't
even if I
hook
lose,
up. He won't hook up.
It's fine, you know. And then I posted the Venmo to my church, and I was like, do not call me out on a drag race ever again, anybody, unless you're willing to do it.
Telling you, I'm
you
100%
can Venmo churches these days.
Yeah.
Tithing is easier than ever.
The Christian church, you can Venmo, Zelle. You kidding me? They'll take anything.
Yeah, my church takes crypto.
That tax-free money. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How about that?
I'm telling you right
See
now.
on the screen, forget the envelope in the back of the room.
No,
Just
like,
pull out your Venmo. Here's our Venmo.
Yep, they got the QR codes posted, but that's neither here or there. You heard it here first. I'm down for this too. If you're down for this, anybody, Hellcat, Charger, whatever, bring your 400 credit score, everything in between. We'll go Audi R8, my new Z06, 458, anytime, any place. We will destroy you.
Wait. I can't be racing demons for $1,000, dude.
No. Demons
I know
are different.
my place.
Demons are different.
Demons.
Demons
I
are
know my
different.
place.
Demons are different. That's different because that. But
the thing is, it's like I'll give you this. Anyone that wants to race, I'm happy to drag race you. I will race you.
Same.
know?
I'll put the Z06.
If you're some clapped out, like, you know, Mopar car or a Hellcat trim and below, and you want to talk like you're like the craziest car out here and you want to clown me on the internet, that's the race where I'm like, okay, let's put some money on this. But like, dude, like I'll race any car anytime. Dude, I've got walked by TTRS in this car. Like, it's not the fastest car in the world. I already know this.
I respect it.
But I
Was it
will
a stock
race.
TTRS?
Huh?
Was it a stock TTRS?
It only had a tune. That was all it needed, dude.
I think that's all it needed. I would say that's not. It's probably.
Those cars are pretty fast.
Tell you, I'm willing to. I'll race anybody in the Z06.
Yeah, you can take
any
him.
Hellcat.
Take him
I
to the
will
Z06,
walk
yeah.
anybody in that
I think it's funny
Z06.
how many people try to like challenge people on the internet or talk about this car's faster than this car. It's like, I've never really cared about that.
Yeah.
Like, I've only ever cared about how, and I've said this a million times, how does the car make you feel? Like that's literally all I care about is when I get in the car and I drive it, how does it make me feel? I don't care if you're faster than me. I don't care if you're slower than me.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're louder than me. If my car makes me feel good and happy when I'm driving it, that is all I care about. So come after me in the internet, tell me you're going to beat me. I don't care. You can beat me. It won't affect me.
That might be the most beautiful thing.
That's a brilliant perspective.
That's really like the whole reason when I got like my love
Now
for
we look
cars.
like
That's
idiots.
all.
Guys.
Will and I over here throwing bets on. I'm like, let's fucking.
You guys are ready to.
I'm
throw
happy
down.
in my own life, and I care about nobody. And happiness,
We
I get
like
from
going
internal.
there for a second. Bring it back.
I get.
Tyler, and now we
I just get happiness from
message
driving the car, not beating anyone, not losing anyone. I don't care.
I mean, even
I guess
today,
I'll
like,
race
we
you.
rolled
That
and I
sounds like a
lost.
good
I'm like, oh, that
time.
was fun. You know,
I had a grand time. I'm not gonna lie to you. Will, when we rolled, I was ready for you just to like. As I was kind of creeping, I'm waiting for just. Boom. And I was like, it didn't come. And I was like, wait a damn second. Then we ran it again. And then you cook a little on me and I caught up and I was like, this thing might be faster than I thought it was.
That Z06 it is fast.
I'm telling you,
What
man.
do you mean?
I'm telling you, I'm willing to put up the new Z06 versus anybody. Anybody wants to come at me, please. Because I will happily take that challenge.
Toyotas or was it Civics with laptops? Enter the chat.
And I'm about to say, all of a sudden starts spitting flames.
laptop.
I'll race it too. I don't care. If anybody with a Civic with a 2-door coupe wants to embarrass me with a laptop, I'm all for it.
Because then you have the people who are like, I can get this car for $40,000, and then with $10,000 to $15,000 in mods, I can smoke anything. And I'm like, but that car won't make me feel good.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's why I hit it on the 720. 720 is faster than everything we're talking about, and it's like not fun to drive.
It's not,
in my opinion.
Not at all. Even like again, same thing with the Turbo S. Like I hate on it, but on paper, it is the best thing.
Yeah.
It beats everything 0 to 60. You can drive it every day. It's everything in between. But at the same time, I would pick that Z06 a million times over it. In my sleep, 8 days a week, 25 hours a day, whatever the hell you want to call it.
How does the car make you feel?
Yep.
It's the most important thing. I mean, I guess some people care about just being faster, but then you probably just have an ego problem. So we're working on that, huh?
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. I'm not working on that in the positive way.
I'm not working on that.
Not at all. Not at all.
So what's next? What do you
Nitrous.
Well, no, not for the car. What's the next car?
Do you even have that in your vision?
Yeah, is there something on your board?
The Mercy, whatever it takes, but the Mercy's a big jump from this.
Sure.
So like I've thought about this because it's like, okay, do I get a Gallardo? That's the same car.
Please
you
don't.
know?
Please
and
don't.
then it's like, do I get a 12C? It's faster, about the same car-ish, you know, but it's
You got
not
the shop
exciting.
to work on it.
Yeah. And it's like, I think of all the cars that are in the same like class, and they're like, I love this one, so I don't really want to go laterally. So the only next jump is like a stock Huracan, you know, coming up from this. It's like, and that's a big jump from here. So like right now, I'm not really, or those like appreciated so much. Like,
make me an offer, big guy. Make me an offer.
I'll race you for pink slips. No, like I don't know. I haven't really thought about it because the supercar. I've spent less time thinking about my next supercar and more time thinking about what I want to do with my life, because I just turned 30 this year, and I'm like, again, you know, when I'm 80, and I'm like, how did I spend my 20s and 30s? You know, am I going to be disappointed or not? And I'm starting to look more of how I'm spending my time than what car I'm going to get, because I have the car that I set out to get. You know. So I think a lot of people waste time, and I think a lot of people don't focus on being in the moment. I'm guilty of this a lot.
100%.
I used to go on all these adventures when I was in the Air Force and in college that were just like, dude, I wrote a whole book about it. Like, it was like absurd stuff. And I find myself doing less of that now. I mean, like, we still do fun stuff, but I'm like, you know, where were the Coldplay shows that I used to sneak into with a fake British accent, you know, or the right. Bangkok trip that we did without any plans, where we landed and just winged it for a whole week, or, you know, when I went out to Tokyo on a whim just to like find the underground car scene out there, or living in Seoul and partying in like the Octagon, like deep in Gangnam. Like, where are those stories? You know, like that was like me 10 years ago. And like, I'm finding as I turn 30, it's like, this is the age where people are kind of expecting me to grow up, and I don't want to.
I don't
like,
think you should.
I like, you know how much pressure people put on me to get married, or to like, no offense, but like to have kids,
there's no offense.
Or to like buy a house. It's like, when you find the perfect girl, great. But it's like, I haven't found the perfect girl yet. But people are like, well, you're 30, you should be married by now. And it's like, dude, like I feel like some people are doing it just to do it.
Absolutely, bro.
And
absolutely.
And even like a career, like they're cashing in on the safe career in their 20s, and I'm 30 now, and I'm probably going to double down on an even riskier career path soon after this. You know, like I want to just take all the risks possible, because I don't want to get to 80 and be like, I would have been fine as a 30-year-old if I lost it all, because I would have found my way back. But if I stayed in the safe zone, I would have guaranteed an outcome of 70% of my potential. You know, all
you don't gain shit from the comfort zone.
Yeah,
I feel like most people live their lives because of the societal norms that they've been created. But who the fuck wants to live a normal life?
Yeah.
I want to drive supercars.
I want to drive supercars, do what I want on my own terms, be my own person, be the baddest motherfucker that anybody's ever seen when I walk into a room. Why would I do what 99% of the people do?
Yeah.
Because 99% of the people out there aren't doing shit. So of course I'm going to do the extreme, like you said, risk-oriented lifestyle, everything in between, say whatever I want on the internet, go this way, do everything in between. That's the way to live.
Yeah.
Not just following what society tells you are the things you should be doing. Creating your own reality, because that's literally what we can all do. Like, literally, you are the definition of created your own reality. All these opportunities, everything that's happened in your life has led you to this point, and you're turning 30 and you're seeing what you want to go. Now, even from the short period of time that I've been able to know you, I've watched you not only create experiences for other people, but even change people's lives in that short amount of time. I can already see in 5 years, you're going to go on a whole different path, and you're going to create so much value for others. It's going to be exponential, bro.
Yeah, I want to do public speaking. So anybody out there that has like a college, like I'll fly out. Like if you have like a company, I've given a TED Talk. I knocked that out when I was 19. So like if you have a stage that I can get on, hand me a mic, dude, I've got crazier stories than what we even talked about today. Because
we'll make it happen.
Like, I mean, like the first company to ever hand me product to take pictures of, first brand deal, was a company called Live a Great Story. I have that tattooed on my chest, and like. It's all about like the story, and like sometimes like we'll do stuff, like I'll find myself doing stuff. It's like, what's the point? It's like, but as you're doing it, you're starting to see a story develop where you're like, oh, this is going to be fun to tell later. Let's see how much we can thicken the plot, you know? Just like, and it becomes like let's just use going out as an example, like a cliche. So you go out to the nightclub and you have like, the goal is to like go out. So you do like your pregame, you get your squad, you do the Uber, you get there, and then what? You're there. And it's like, okay, it's like the same thing every time. There's not like a great story. The nights out you remember are when something bad happens, someone gets in trouble or whatever. But what if you took that same philosophy and applied it to like, all right, we're just going to go to run errands, you know? But what if we talk to like 5 new people while we run errands? Or if while we're running errands, what if we grabbed the Ferrari and every person at a bus stop we saw, we like drove them to their destination, you know? Or like, you know, where I talked about like flying out to like Bangkok, like we just like picked a random city, we picked the cheapest flight you could find that anyone on any wage could afford, because I was on a government paycheck. And I was like, let's fly out there for a week and not plan anything. I got E. coli. It ended horribly. Like, it was terrible, but I have like the best story. Like, a dude cooked us a meal. He was chopping food on a tree stump in a shack in the middle of the jungle in Thailand. And I was like, and I got crazy sick from that, but I had the best story ever. I was dressed in a unicorn onesie while I was eating there. It was like the most, you know.
He's the definition of just doing side quests. Like, what, like
yeah, side quests. Great.
You're literally out here doing side quests.
I gotta increase my side quest.
Shit, why the hell would I do this?
But like, while you're doing it, dude, you like gonna cross paths with these people that you're like, you're gonna meet. You got to get out of your comfort zone and be. If you're an introvert, be an extrovert. Like, just tell yourself you're an extrovert, and you'll start to like build this new comfort zone for yourself. Where like, to me, my comfort zone is some people's like, you're crazy, you know? But then like, once you start to get used to that, you're like, okay, I can go a little bit farther. And in my book, The Art of Unpredictability, I talk about a Tony Robbins speech I listened to where he said you have these basic needs as a human, and you either need predictability or unpredictability. And you can decide which side of the plane you want to prioritize first. Most people steer towards predictability because they want to be in control. So when I was in a predictable military lifestyle and a base in the middle of nowhere, I was like, how can it be as unpredictable as possible? So you start small, brush with the wrong hand, take a different route home from work, grocery shop in a different grocery store than you normally, start
Invite
small.
Steve Aoki to collab.
Yeah.
Let's get some
but like,
cakes.
dude, like even Steve Aoki was like, meeting him was like just a random shot in the dark email to his manager. Well, I was like, hey, can I come film this concert? Cause he's coming in town. This was like years before then. And he was like, yeah, sure. And then while we were there, it turns out Steve is like a big military fan. So I got to hang out with him and talk to him. Now he remembers me. And like his manager won like this Forbes 30 for 30 list and stuff that year.
Yeah, Shalazy. Or not, I don't think Shalazy Group manages him, does he?
No, not Shalazy. No. Shalazy's with Marshmello.
I'm thinking Marshmello. There it is. Sorry.
Who also had a run in with Marshmello because I snuck into EDC one year.
Deep in the EDM scene.
Yeah, I snuck into EDC one year with a camera. I had an artist pass from Cruella. Cruella gave me their pass because he didn't want to go the third day. I snuck in. I filmed this after movie. I emailed EDC relentlessly with the link to my video. Said, I want to film for you for an entire year straight until they finally said, all right, first of all, you should not have been able to sneak in. Second, you should not post this anywhere. Take it down. And third, you're hired. So I got to film EDC, and my first big year with EDC, Marshmello was headlining main stage, and I remember going all over Las Vegas looking for some graham crackers with my friend, and we found some. We got a picture with us two backstage holding graham crackers on either side of Marshmello's head.
That's awesome.
Right before he went on stage and just crushed it for like 150,000 people in Vegas. You know,
another guy that's had some work done at RDB.
Literally.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was an RDB client.
They run deep. They definitely run deep there.
Ooh, RDB?
No, Shalazy and Marshmello.
Oh my God, Shalazy's
Shalazy
cars are bonkers, man.
They run deep, man.
Yeah.
They run deep.
But like, I remember Shalazy did a speech at USC, and he was talking about resiliency. And he was like, imagine selling a guy to clubs who wears a bucket on his head for a living, whose identity at the time was unknown, and be like, no, he's good at music, trust me. You know? He was like, dude, there were so many times when like they would just come up short or like needed money, and they were just like doubling down on this Marshmello idea that worked. It was different because you go to EDC and it's like, yeah, everybody's got their favorite. Maybe you're there for the Chainsmokers with Martin Garrix, but you're probably not going to know most of the DJs that come up. No. The average person's not. Everybody knows Marshmello because that dude has the most ridiculous mask ever. And it was different. It was
all marketing. It's all branding. Yeah. They hit it right on the head. Mm-hmm. Literally.
Yeah. He wasn't that big of an artist until he put a marshmallow on his head.
Yeah.
He created the mystery.
Insanity.
Yeah. But yeah, just take some risks, man, and just like ask yourself, like, what would make a crazy story today? My friends do this all the time on the weekends. We're like, okay, we don't have plans. Let's just drive to LA and start walking around and figure out where we can.
I don't know if I would drive to downtown LA or anything like that just to walk around.
You pick and choose the areas. But you know what I mean? Like, just walk around and be like, okay, can we talk our way into this party? Can we talk our way into this house party? Can we meet a friend that has something going on later that we get invited to, that we meet 5 more people at? Like,
see, that's different levels.
It is. It's like you have the ability to be able to create your own reality.
You enjoy that because I don't even know if I would enjoy that experience.
It's hella fun if you're along for the ride,
right? Because
all you need is one guy like you that's like very extroverted and like very personable and charismatic that can just spark a conversation, make someone feel safe and not too weird, and they'll be like, all right, they can hang with us. And then I'll send
Joe's my dude.
Your whole entourage gets to go with you. Bring like one or two homies with you, and like, dude, just I'm telling you, like whatever your city is that you live in, try it. And see like how far the rabbit hole can go. Because like, dude, we've been invited to some crazy stuff because we've like taken a risk and just like spoken to someone, that's like, oh, by the way, this is what I do. And you're like, what? What are the odds? But it keeps happening to me. Like it's very frequent. And like all the, like, I don't name drop to like name drop, but I name drop to be like, hey, these are people I've met. But it's all like random. Like, I'm not some rich kid that just got placed in front of these people. Like, dude, we had, I don't know if you want to wrap. I got a really good story to end with.
Go ahead. Let's end it.
If you want. Okay.
Hit it.
This is the power of continuously saying yes to something when I was like ready to just throw in the towel. So this is one of my favorite stories, and it involves an even bigger artist than the Chainsmokers. The Chainsmokers are in this one. It involves my job, shitty finance job, and one hell of a night in Las Vegas and a bottle of Malibu. So we,
I love these setups.
So many factors that like
story time with Will.
So I'm filming EDC for the 9th year in a row, and I have worked my way slowly to the top of hustling to get to the point where they just hand me a camera of whatever I want, and they say, go film whatever you want. You have access to everything. VIP, stages, whatever it is, go capture the best moments of one of the greatest experiences that people can experience, in their lifetime. If you haven't gone to EDC, go. Even if you don't like EDM. And I just filmed this whole weekend of artists. You film 12 hours from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., back to back to back. And mind you, I'm still in the Air Force. So that means I got to be on the base by Tuesday and do the Air Force thing all week. Wild. So it was like I had asked for an extra day off, and EDC comped me a hotel Monday night too. So we finished Monday morning, and they're like, the only thing you have to do is sleep in Monday. You can go to bed, get your sleep schedule good, and then we have a plane ticket for you first thing out on Tuesday. You go home Tuesday and you do Air Force on Wednesday, right? So, but this was the first year that I was working civilian world. I just got my really tough, low paying, I think it was $750 paycheck finance job in Calabasas. And as I was walking around EDC, as luck would have it, I asked to start that job on Wednesday because I wanted to film EDC, but I didn't tell anybody why. And as I'm walking around the camera, I bump into the guy that owns the company. Oh, no. And I was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, what are you doing here? Dude, he was shirtless. He had like paint on his face. Like, I was like, what? And I was like, I'm working. I'm getting paid to do here. What are you doing here? He's like, I'll see you on Wednesday. And like, of all, there's 400,000 people in EDC, I run into my boss before my first day at work. So he knows I'm in Las Vegas at EDC. And I was like, dude, I've been filming this for like 9 years straight. That's why I'm here. He's like, okay. So back to Monday, we're done with EDC. These girls that I see every year, I've never spoken to them. I see them in the front row of main stage every single year. It's a red beautiful flag, girl. Whatever. And I store my camera bag and my lenses next to them because they'll watch it. I know I can trust them because I don't want to carry it all around. So I'll film, I'll come and get lenses and exchange everything. But it's so loud at EDC, I can't ever like have a conversation. But it's funny because like several years in a row, it's the same girls in the same spot year after year after year. And they're like, we're going to go see the Chainsmokers on Tuesday night at this club. Do you want to come? I was like, I've just watched every DJ ever. I don't want to go see more. And I certainly don't want to pay for it. And they're like, well, there's 2 of us and there's 1 of you. And in Vegas, that's a cheat code for free cover. So I was like, all right, it doesn't cost me any money, but I'm exhausted. I've been up so much. I don't want to go and watch a DJ. And they're like, come on. And they had enough arm twisting. They're like, okay, come. Well,
at this point, I'm just down to just let it roll like this.
I think the center maybe over here.
Go ahead, Will. Finish.
Cool. So I really didn't want to roll. So finally, I'm like, all right, I'm in. But I only had EDC attire. I need a like nice outfit. So this is a testament to you don't need to spend a lot of money for a cool experience. I didn't spend any more than $25 this whole evening. I go to the thrift store before it closes. I walked there because I didn't want to pay for an Uber, and I was making like zero money. I walk there and I go and I buy shoes, pants, and a button-down shirt for like $20-something. And I walk through the Burger King drive-thru to buy dinner because I didn't have a car. And I'm on my way back. I buy a little bottle of Malibu to pregame because I didn't want to buy drinks at the club. So I'm trying to save money in advance.
Right.
And I get there and I meet these girls it was at XS nightclub, and they were in like really nice dresses. And I wanted to look kind of cool. So like we had to kill like an hour before the Chainsmokers went on. So I was like, okay, well, let's play some blackjack. And I'm going to do like $5 hands, right? Which was a lot of money for me. But I was still like, all right, I'll do $5 hands. But then they're like, well, we want to play. We don't know how to play. So I was like, all right, well, I'll teach you. So I give each of them $100, which is like so much money for me. And they're betting $5 hands with my $100, and we have 300 across all of us. And I'm terrible at blackjack and gambling. So like I'm watching 3 hands at once dwindle, And like $300 is essentially half of a paycheck for me. So I was like, oh man, and slowly start to like get down to, I think I had like $20 left, and then like parlayed a bunch of times or whatever it is where you like split it off, and I won it all back in the last second. And I was like, okay, good, walk away. So I took my $300 in cash, which is like a lot of money.
Got to.
I was like, Chainsmokers are starting. Let's go.
Big win.
Right.
By the way, both girls got drinks comped because we were gambling the whole time, so they didn't have to buy drinks either. And
Vegas.
we walk to the front, towards the stage. The Chainsmokers do their thing, whatever. But before they finish, the girl's like, "Oh, you really want to meet them? Like, you know them, whatever." I was like, "Look, I like know them, but like not well enough to be like, hey, what are you doing later?" type relationship. But I had just recently, maybe like 2 months prior, shot their album cover or their Spotify like tour poster. So Danilo is their photographer. He did the photos. I helped them find the car for the shoot and the location. So we did get to spend time together because it rained really hard for a couple hours. So I was stuck in a car with just the Chainsmokers for like hours. And I was nervous and I was talking about dumb shit and being awkward the whole time. But hopefully from that, they remember my face. And I was correct because I was like, well, there's only one way back to like the like upper area of Encore, whatever the hotel was we were in. And I was like, if we position ourselves there right before they walk in, right at the end of their set, you might run into them. So we run out there, and as luck would have it, they round the corner, and they're coming. And the girls run up to them. Hi, oh my gosh. And I stay where I am because I don't want to be like, I already know them. I don't want to be all like fangirl or roped into that. So I let them do their thing. They get their selfies, whatever. And I'm chilling. And then they split off from the Chainsmokers to go to the bathroom immediately. And as the Chainsmokers keep walking, they're like, Will. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, what's up? And I was like, oh, I was just here to watch you guys. I just finished EDC, you know? And they're like, well, what are you doing? Who are you with? And I was like, oh, I'm just hanging out. I'm probably going to go home now. And they're like, well, are you with anyone? And I like looked around the girls in the restroom and I was like, no. And they're like, come with us. And I was like, okay. So we walk to this elevator and it's like a special elevator with like a little rope. So the little security guard moves the rope and we walk in and I was like, where are we going? And they're like, oh, this is like the after party, like the only friends and homies hangout party. And I was like, oh, sick. Okay. So we get up to the top floor and the girls text me like, where are you? And I was like, just stay down there and don't leave. I'm going to see what I can do to help you guys get where I am. And they're like, where are you? I was like, don't worry about it. And they're like, okay. So we're walking down this hallway and we go all the way in these two big double doors and they open it up and it is like a whole suite and it's a perfect view of the strip from the top floor in this hotel in Vegas. And they have like these big buckets with like Coronas in them. They have like this hot wing bar. They have all this food out, everything. There must have been 10 people in the room. Like there was like no one in there. And you want to talk about a networking goldmine and like putting yourself out there. That was a moment where I was like, every person I talk in this room is going to be interesting. Let's start making friends. So they're like, hey, grab a beer, whatever you need, hang out. We'll probably be here for like 2 hours or something. Then we're going to hop on our private jet to our next show, whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. So I start talking to people. I meet their private jet pilot. I met some other musician. I meet Danilo, who happened to also roll up. And then I meet the manager of another really big music artist. And as I'm talking to him, in my head, I was like, dang, it'd be really cool if that artist is also here, because I love the Chainsmokers. They're like my favorite, but like this dude is like on another level. Well, then that dude walked in and I was like, oh my God. So that's when I texted the girls and I was like, okay, I got to get you where I am. Even if it gets me kicked out, you got to experience this. And the artist that had just walked in was their number one favorite artist ever, the one that they wait for in the front row every year, and that is Martin Garrix. So I go to the Chainsmokers and I was like, hey, I have two friends who are girls down in the lobby who I was with. They were in the bathroom when you passed me. They want to know if they can come up. And they're like, sure, of course. They're super chill about it. So I go down and the girls are trying to get past security. And I was like, Chainsmokers said they're good. And the security moves the rope. They hop in the elevator and they are freaking out. They cannot contain it. I was like, listen, guys, there are 9 people in this room and 3 of them are the Chainsmokers and Martin Garrix. Do not walk in there like taking selfies and filming everything and getting people's faces. They're winding down. They're not partying. Like this is like chill zone. You like, I don't want to tell you not to talk to them, but just please like just relax, take a breath,
Act like
and
you've been around. Yeah.
I don't blame them. I was also very nervous because I was like, this is out of even my element. I was like, there's some cool people here. Like I just don't want to embarrass myself or worse, annoy anybody in the room. And they're like, okay, deal. Got it. We got this. So we walk down, we walk in the doors, they open and they see Martin Garrix and immediately walk to him. oh my God, your show was so good. Like, we loved every second of it. You're the best, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh man, they weren't like too obnoxious, but they were definitely like fangirling. Mm-hmm. But Martin, he's a young kid. He loved the attention. He was just like, oh, thanks. And he's like kind of hanging out and stuff. They're talking to him. And then I'm talking to like Danilo for a minute. And then they go and like start talking to some other people, making some new friends. And then Martin Garrix is just chilling there by the window, just stuffing his face with hot wings. So I walk up and I'm like, hey, my name's Will. I actually filmed your set. Great show, whatever. So we start talking about his set. He starts asking me all these like questions, like, did I use enough fireworks? What'd you think of the lasers? And like, he's like genuinely concerned and like wanted my feedback. I'm like, I don't know if you know who I am, but I'm just a regular camera guy. I thought you had plenty of fireworks. I thought your lasers awesome. I think you're doing 1,000 times more than anybody our age is doing. So perfect in my book, But like, it was cool guy to talk to, but it's funny because the whole time he was talking to me, he had hot wings in his mouth the entire time. Like, he never took a breath. He was just pounding them down the whole time. And after that finished...
What'd you think about the lasers?
Basically, it was just like all over his face and everything. I was like, if you ever told me I'd get like a one-on-one combo with Martin Garrix, that's not how I would have portrayed it. And we're just sitting there like looking at the skyline or the strip of Vegas. It was like the Hangover movie kind of moment where I'm just like, dang, this is like for real. And they're like, okay, we got to go catch a flight. Everybody out. So we walk out of the room, and this is when the story goes from good to great before it gets crazier. So I'm in the elevator.
We're fucking gonna get more.
I'm in the elevator, and I'm already
he's about to get on a private jet, probably.
You want to talk about like seeing how far you can go by just being like yourself and charismatic? Like, dude, let's remind the audience. Like, I had a $22 outfit on. Like, no name brands. I didn't have to name drop anything. I didn't have to flex my resume. I didn't have to have a supercar. All I had to do was be a chill dude. That was it. Somebody that brought value to their life at one point, which was they needed to find a car in a location and didn't know who to ask. And I was right place, right time. So we're in the elevator, and there's two other people with me and the two girls in the elevator. And one of them's like, let's gamble. And I was like, bro, it is 5 a.m. The sun is up. Let's sleep. I need to, like, I want to use the hotel that EDC has comped me, please, once. And like, at this point, I'm also like, I've learned that like when you think a story or a point in your life is reached like pinnacle craziness, double down and make it crazier. Like, you'd be surprised at like how much farther it can keep going. And I was like, you know what? I'll follow you. If you want to gamble like a little bit, I'll watch, So the guy's like, all right, perfect. And I was very sober. I do EDC sober every year because I got to focus and I got to work. I think I had 1 or 2 beers tops in that little airplane bottle of Malibu in my system. So not much, and a lot of hot wings. And I come downstairs and they have the roulette tables. Nobody's down there. It's 5 o'clock in the morning in the Encore. And this guy walks up and he pulls out a huge wad of cash and sets it down on a single number and goes, spin it. And I was like, hold on. I was like, not smart to put that much money on one number. I don't know who you are or your financial situation, but you seem pretty intoxicated. So I'm going to try to be a good friend here and just advise you not to do that. But too late, the ball's already rolling around the wheel. And they're like, everybody back. And guess what? This freaking guy hits it.
No,
and I want to say, like, the amount of money he had, I want to say from my memory was to the tune of $5,000. And you do the math on roulette of what that equals if you hit a number that you put $5,000 on. It was a lot of money. And they hand him all the chips. And then that's when the pit bosses start coming up because like it's a dead casino. There's nobody there. Mm-hmm. And they're like, all right, congratulations, whatever. And the guy's like, he is so gone. He's like, put it all on the number again. Run it again. I'm like, stop. I was like, dude, you have won so much money. Like, this is crazy. It's crazy. And that's when the other guy chimes in and goes, that's Tiesto's manager. He can do whatever he wants. Like, money's not real. And I was like, what? I was like, what are the odds? And then he was like, but in your defense, the odds of him hitting this twice in a row are low. So why don't you take the money off and let's cash out your chips? So the guy's like, okay, fine. And all the pit bosses just like, no, let him do it. I was like, no, you guys are bad influences. You want your money back. Stop, take the money. So he grabbed all his chips. He went over to the little thing and he cashed it all out and he walked out. And that's when I get a text from my boss, who I'm supposed to report to work for, 24 hours and some change the next day. And I'm still in Las Vegas. And he goes, hey, listen, man, I had to leave early and handle some stuff at work. So I missed the last day at EDC. However, I left my rental car there. It's parked in the parking lot of the airport. Can you go get it? I will send you the keys now. They should arrive like by either the end of the day or the next day when you roll out. And I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, thank you. Appreciate it. Now, I did not want to do this because it means I had to wake up even earlier because I have to drive back and still make it to work. It meant that I did not get to use the free plane ticket that had already been comped by EDC, and it meant that I was going to sleep less, and I'm going to have to drive the whole way. It's not. I mean, it's an annoying drive.
Right. It's not ideal. Absolutely.
And it's early in the morning, and mind you, I've done 3 12-hour back-to-back nights of EDC. I'm exhausted, but it's my new employer. I want to give a good impression. I want to do them a solid. So I was like, okay, I'll got you. You know, I'll do it. So I go down the next morning and they have the envelope for me. And they hand me the envelope and I pour it out on the desk and it's a Rolls-Royce key. And I was like,
shut the fuck up, dude.
I was like, this is like, I'm like on a roller coaster that just won't stop.
Life's not real, bro.
Yeah.
Life is not real.
And again, have yet to spend any money. In fact, I made money because I got paid by Insomniac for this weekend. So I'm down $22 and I'm up. By the way, Insomniac paid me, what was it? $3,000 and some change for that one weekend filming, which was like crazy money for me.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, dang, I'm about to roll out of here in a Rolls Royce. So I get an Uber to the airport and I pick up a Rolls Royce Ghost, a late model Ghost, and I drive out of Vegas in a Rolls Royce to start my $14, $15 an hour minimum wage job that next day, coming off of the high of a lifetime.
You were destined for this life, bro.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
the universe was like, no, motherfucker, you're going to where you're going.
Yeah.
Whether you liked it or not.
Yeah. But it was just me continuing to say yes and like, yes, I'll go out to this, you know, concert. Yes, let's go try to catch him backstage. Yes, I'll go up in this elevator. You know, yes, I'll drive your car home. Like, yes, let's go gamble. Like all these, you know, normally I wouldn't advise gambling and going out in Vegas. You know, it's like kind of a bad example, but that's not my normal lifestyle. I was there to work and that's usually why I go to Vegas. But like it's you know, it could be the same scenario in your hometown. It could be the same scenario in your college or your regular workplace, which you're at, because I have plenty of stories similar to that while I was working a government job in the Air Force or while I was in, you know, finance as well.
Go do something.
Yeah.
I think moral of the story is just take risks.
Yeah, take a lot of risks.
So like nobody takes enough risk.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get anywhere without risk.
You won't have an R8 taking no risks.
Yep. You ain't gonna have none of that shit.
Owning an R8 is in itself a bit of a risk.
That's risk.
It's a risk when you're making $5,000 a month.
I mean, those those clutches go out how often?
Every 60,000 miles, but I've gone through 3 in 2 years.
Yeah.
So
So not every 60,000.
it's hinging on how many times you launch
Who
control.
says 60,000 miles?
That's about what it'll do. Like
Really?
that's what it's supposed to do because you're not.
Because
driving.
don't the Gallardos like get like 20,000 miles and it's
It depends
pretty
on how
much
you
the
drive
same
it.
clutch?
You know, I mean, like I'm going up and down the gears all the time on this. I'm hitting it hard, so it's not gonna last 60.
Yeah.
But 60's, you know, on par.
Okay. Good to know. Good. So I don't have to be as worried about the S-Tronic.
No.
This is the S-Tronic.
This is an R-Tronic.
R-Tronic.
This is a
S-Tronic is the
single
dual clutch.
clutch.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, manual transmission. Yeah.
Worst comes to worst.
Yeah. Because I was only looking at 14 and 15s because it's the dual clutch. So I was like, oh, that's going to be more reliable, the S-Tronic.
It probably will.
But the
It'll
R-Tronic,
drive smoother.
if it'll get me to 60 and I buy one
Not
with
if you dri-
15.
Not if you drive like me. And that clutch was $4,000, and the clutch job itself is somewhere around $4,000 to $5,000 if you're paying labor. And the flywheel is $1,200, and the slave cylinder is $1,300, and the bolts that go in it are $80 a pop. So it's still expensive.
All right, S-Tronic it is.
time to make some
Watch a lot of
adjustments.
YouTube
maybe.
videos like I did, and just like, you know, team up with a whole shop and build your entire
Honestly,
personality and career trait around it to save a little bit of money
Yeah,
on
I
your
can't
clutch
do
job,
that.
and then you'll be fine.
I'm like a play mechanic. I take a couple screws out and I'm looking down. I'm like, what have I done? Let's get these back in this engine and let's
Yeah.
go. Got my spark plugs replaced. Man, those are some crazy stories. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
This has been probably easily our best episode. And
Love
I'm
it.
very much looking forward to our future relation and
Love
keep
it.
making things happen.
Yeah, we're LA is going to be our playground.
Yeah.
We are going to
We're going to have a timestamp
literal
on this
playground.
upload, and everybody's going to have faster cars. 2 years from now, everybody's going to have faster cars.
Less than
LA
2 years.
is going to be a playground, and we're going to be like, we called it.
Yep.
We called
You
it.
watch. Well, in 2 years, you hear it here first. I'm being an Aventador in 2 years. So
Lights out.
You watch.
Yeah,
Lights
well,
out. Literally.
You'll see Will on the show again, I'm sure. We'll see
Absolutely.
Will on the show again.
Sure.
And future videos.
Sure. You're gonna see me. You're gonna see me on some reposted page where a bunch of Mopar guys are tearing me to pieces
Oh, I can't
in
wait.
the comments.
You're gonna see Will talking, and then there's gonna be a video of some dude like
it's gonna be it's
playing
Mopar,
Fortnite
yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
up
you'll
on
see.
the top.
Yeah,
You'll
literally,
see,
yeah.
you'll see Temple Run here. You'll see Will here in the background.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the next thing you know,
Someone
the-
driving on
It's
Need for
gonna clip the
Speed.
one section where I'm like, Mopar guys, Tesla guys, the cops are mean to car people. And they're going to just run with all that stuff. They're going to miss the part where I'm like, I give money to the church and I'm doing this on my own and I make a lot of mistakes. They're like, no.
Changing lives. No.
Push that away.
That's the internet for you.
Yeah.
Literally.
But no, seriously, thank you. This was awesome. What a great day. The show was great. Thanks for letting us sign your car.
Literally.
Supercar Connection was here. Yep. You can see it right there on the hood. I don't know how long it'll be there, but it's there right now.
Till tonight. Yep. Wash it and do it again tomorrow.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
It's a wrap.
We'll see you next time.